We have 8 people online.
Oh, okay. Okay, so attendance keep dropping. So anyway, today is on a new topic on mindfulness, right? So even though the course is about mindfulness, we are now talking about mindfulness as a topic specifically. And normally we're going to talk about this in Buddhism, this Satipatthana Sutta. That's like the standard, like gold standard for defining mindfulness. But before we start, yeah, because mindfulness now very popular, right? So all the Western people also attend these mindfulness courses. We call this circular. What happened? Oh, okay, circular. Um, yeah, circular mindfulness courses. So I don't talk about Buddhist mindfulnesses. We will talk about the Western secular mindfulness. So I always make this joke lah, that these Westerners, they copy these mindfulness from actually from the Burmese tradition. And the psychologists, they go and observe this Burmese Vipassana movement. Then they copy something, then they remove all the religious element. They remove all the spiritual element. So to them, now the secular courses, they just tell you, just be aware, or just know, just take note, take note, take note. So this is the like the bare cognitive function, like anybody can do one. Anybody can do. Yeah, so in corporate setting, in schools, they use this. So the main difference is the Buddhist mindfulness will need to reflect on impermanence. Whereas the secular one, I don't need to reflect on impermanence, just know will do, just aware. So because of the lack of reflection, then there's no dispassion. There's no reduction of craving. Then good for secular setting, lah. I mean, good for corporate setting. So the employers send their employees there, maintain their craving, so they can make more money for the company. Imagine everybody so detached or happy, contented already, lah. Don't need to push so hard. Then the company cannot make money, right? So that's the problem. So this is the secular mindfulness courses. Yeah. So having addressed this issue, we're going to now talk about the Buddhist problem. Now in the Buddhist community, mindfulness also got problem. One of the commonly used or misused definition of mindfulness would be memory. So if let's say you go to your Buddhist friend, then you go for a meeting or whatever, right? Then you've forgotten to bring something. Then your Buddhist friend will tell you, see, no mindfulness. Who have experienced this before? Yeah? Yeah, so this is one of the common definition of mindfulness. So in the mundane sense, nothing wrong. Before the Buddha got enlightened, mindfulness is actually talking about memory. If you can remember, recollect what you've done before, we call this mindfulness. But after the Buddha got enlightened, he came up with a new term called right mindfulness, which is very different from memory. So I'm going to give a case study or two case studies. First case study is Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda is the monk foremost in memory, the Buddha's attendant, his cousin. Then whatever the Buddha teach, remember lah. So the brain like tape recorder can remember everything. So amongst all the disciples, he's the only one that remember everything. But he's the last one to get enlightened. So if mindfulness is essential for the practice, if mindfulness equals the memory, then he should be the first one to get enlightened. Yeah, but the fact that he's the last one to get enlightened, Among the 500 arahants and the first Buddhist council meeting, he's the last one to get enlightened. When the Buddha is still alive, he's still not yet enlightened. He listened to so many teachings, remember, but still not yet enlightened. Only after the Buddha passed away, then he have to work very hard, meditate very hard, then he reached enlightenment. Some other disciple just listen to one sermon when he reach enlightenment. Don't have to memorize so many things. So this is the first case study. Second case study would be this another story. This Venerable Chula Pandaka. This monk, intellectually challenged monk, cannot memorize things. Maybe he can only memorize one stanza or one sentence, one line. When he want to learn another verse, he forget the first verse. So this is how bad is the memory. So he managed to ordain, go to this so-called the community of monks in the temple or the monastery to stay with them. And the rest of the monks specialize in reciting, chanting, reciting the teaching. Because last time the teachings weren't put into writing, so they have to recite to remember. Then he down there is like out of place, Everybody reciting, then he cannot memorize anything. So after some time, the rest of the monks start to invite him and they say, you see, we cannot help you. Maybe you find another place. So basically invite him to leave the place. Invite him to leave the monastery. So he was so upset last. So he was outside the monastery on the road crying. Then the Buddha happened to walk past. The Buddha happened to walk past. Then he saw what happened and asked, why are you crying? And this monk told the Buddha what happened. I kena kick out. Cannot memorize things. Then the Buddha said, no worry, you're still my disciple. So the Buddha brought him to his room, his kuti, his hut. Asked him to do area cleaning. So in the Theravada edition, the Buddha gave him a white cloth. No cloth, so I use tissue paper. So gave him a white cloth. Gave him a white cloth. Then asked this monk, can you memorize one word? So what's the word? White. And the color white. Can you memorize one word? Then this monk said, can. One word can, no problem. Don't need to be too long. So the Buddha just asked him, just clean, just clean, wipe something, clean. So he just clean and keep on reciting, white color, white. Then after cleaning, he need to turn the cloth. So he turned really, how come dusty, turn brown, turn black. Then he realized the truth. Then he got enlightened. So a person intellectually challenged can reach enlightenment. Don't have to be super good in memory. So those people that study a lot, got doctorate or whatever, doesn't necessarily means they are spiritual. Memory is one thing, detachment is another thing. So I think same with workplace. Maybe some people are very good in remembering who owe them money and stuff like that, right? Very good memory. Or remember who done all the bad things to them, hold grudges. So having good memory is one thing, knowing to let go is a different thing. It's a total different skill set. So this is the first case study. So I'm not saying memory is bad. In daily life, it's essential for you to not get into trouble. So it's important in the mundane sense. But if I talk about taking care of your mind spiritually, then it's a different kind of mindfulness, right mindfulness. So now this is just mindfulness without the right in front of it. So I would just call it normal mindfulness. Normal mindfulness. And there's also right mindfulness. So the problem also sometimes got to do with translation. So if let's say Chinese, the right mindfulness will be translated as 正念. Then this normal mindfulness are also translated as 正念. They have this problem. Yeah. So which one is the 正念? Which one is the correct one? I got 督正, which. Then same with Thai language also. Because the Pali word is sati. So the Thai language also adopt this word sati. So both also use this sati. Yeah, the mundane kind of memory, they call it sati lah. Then mindfulness, right mindfulness, also called sati. Yeah? So sometimes language issue. Okay, then another so-called definition for mundane kind of mindfulness would be carefulness. So another example, maybe you meet your Buddhist friend, then you bump into something or you trip and fall, but nothing serious like trip lah. Then your Buddhist friend will tell you, no mindfulness. Yeah, who have this encountered this before? Yeah, so we call this mundane kind of mindfulness, carefulness. So the non-Buddhist friend may be using the more technically correct word. They'll say, you're not careful lah, or you're so forgetful lah. So they're using the correct term, Whereas the Buddhists, we start to use mindfulness, mindfulness until we blur, which is the mundane mindfulness, which is the right mindfulness. So I give another case study. How many of you watch Olympic Games and like those gymnastic or ice skating, those kind of thing? So those sport require a lot of precision and carefulness. Yeah, you somersault, then you fall down and confirm lose already. You need to land properly. So there's a team. I'm not sure you encountered this scenario before. There's a team that like perform all the routine like almost perfectly. Like they never make any mistake. So when the judges announce the score, they lose to the first team by 0.01 points. That means they get silver lah. They didn't get the gold. They start crying lah, cry and cry and cry. So being careful and precise doesn't equals to detachment. You can be very careful and can like kung fu like that, can somersault and all those very careful, but may not be mentally free. May not be mentally free. So it's a different skill set. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to talk about right mindfulness. Right mindfulness. So this is the so-called Buddhist definition. So we're not going to talk about secular mindfulness. So the common translation would be this four foundation of mindfulness. Sometimes you see other translators, maybe the academics want to show off their work, then they like Ajahn Jeff, he will say four frames of reference. Totally like different term. Yeah? So you have to read really, how come the word's so different? Okay, so right at the beginning of the sutta, they'll tell you the objective or what is right mindfulness about. Oops. Yeah, so this is the objective. Yeah, you need to purify the mind, overcoming suffering. So like the previous case study, if you still feel upset and cry, then probably is not the right kind of mindfulness yet. Yeah, no more stress. Yeah, then that's the right method to unbinding. So there are so many methods, at least in the Buddha's time or even now, that claim to make you stress-free. Yeah, maybe psychotherapy or whatever. So the Buddhist method would be right mindfulness. Okay, doesn't move. Okay, now it moves a bit. Okay, so there are four aspects. I think we covered this briefly in the previous few lessons. So there are four types of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, feeling, mind, and dharma. These four. So there are many things you can be mindful about. Mindful of the stock market, mindful of the news, mindful of the politics. So when we don't care about all those, so it's just four foundation of mindfulness. But if I talk about applying mindfulness in daily life, if you truly understand the four foundation of mindfulness, Yes, because whatever we see, hear, smell, think, taste, and touch is under the purview of Dharma, yeah? Under the fourth one, uh, mindfulness of phenomena. So this one is Ajahn Jeff's translation called mental qualities. So some translator call it Dharma, phenomenon. Okay, so I think we covered this also. Yeah, six types of mindfulness of the body. So previous lesson we talked about the breath, the 16 steps of breathing meditation. So the breath meditation is not just mindfulness of the body alone. It also touches on mindfulness of the feeling, the mind, and the dharma. Yeah. So any meditation object can have four foundation of mindfulness, but we just talk about one first. Huh? Then the next one, mindfulness of your four postures. I mean, standing, sitting, walking, lying down. These are the four postures. Then the next one, mindfulness of activities. That means whatever you're doing, whether you're eating, talking, doing your work. So mindfulness of your activities, you can be practicing mindfulness also. Then the fourth one, mindfulness on the body parts. We talk about the impurities of the body in maybe two lessons ago. And then the four elements. So we also covered that, the earth, fire, wind, water elements. And the sixth one, stages of bodily decomposition, like in the picture here. So we can take any one of these and specialize in any of them. So any meditation object, as long as you apply the Noble Eightfold Path, can reach enlightenment. So then the question is how to be mindful of this. Like for example, mindfulness of body parts. So any doctor and surgeon can know all the parts of the body, but does that make them very mindful? Not necessary, right? No, sometimes on the news you might find a doctor, commit certain crime or whatever. So knowing the parts of the body, very familiar with the parts of the body, doesn't equate to right reflection. So what is the reflection about? Which is this one. So I would say there are like a few portions of this. Okay, so this is like one entire paragraph. And if you really read the sutta, this is like a chorus. Like you keep repeating over and over again. It's like just like music. There's a verse and a chorus. So every time, for example, the Buddha covered breath. After he talk about breath, he'll talk about this, or at least the sutta will repeat this. Then the four postures, then repeat this again. Four elements, repeat this again. So this thing keep repeating and repeating, repeating so many times. That means this is very important. Very important. Yeah, so what's this repeating verse about? So the first portion talks about you can place your attention internally or externally. So you can be thinking inside or outside. So for example, impurities of the body, you can be visualizing in the mind, the different parts of the body, or you can look outside externally. So your attention can be inside or outside because it's still the same perception, the same mind, the same five clinging aggregates. And then the next one. So this is the reflection. You need to reflect origination and passing away with regard to the body. So wherever you place your attention, you need to reflect rising and passing. Yeah, so this is like our mantra, rising and passing. You can use this word also, origination and passing away. You can use impermanence, anicca, change, whatever word you like. Just keep on repeating. So that's the idea. So this is actually a vipassana step. Vipassana step. So the Theravada suttas or the original suttas will tell you to observe origination and passing away, very generally. So the post-canonical version, or a lot of Vipassana schools like to use the post-canonical meditation manual That means it's written later after the sutta. Then they will tell you it's like 16 steps of vipassana. Then one of the steps is see falling first before you see rising. So to me, not important. Depends on your sharpness of the mind. See which one you can catch first. So this is the general theme. You just repeat in the mind, rising and passing. Then whatever you can observe, then is whatever you observe, lah, that's your evidence. Lah. You don't purposely force yourself. I want to see falling, I don't want to see rising. Whatever appear, then that's the evidence. Huh? Okay, then the third one. Or mindfulness, there's a body maintained to the extent of knowledge and remembrance. So the whole idea is to keep remembering this rising and passing. So even though it's like very still, very quiet, continue to keep remembering rising and passing. So that's our idea. Okay. And the checklist to know whether you're doing it correct is to see whether there's any clinging. Yeah. If there's still stress, there's still tension, means something is not right. If let's say the more you practice detachment, impermanence, the mind should be more happy, more lighter, more contented. So this is the sequence of events. So same thing. Going to look at the previous few. Like no battery like that. Okay, so these are the six types of mindfulness. So a lot of times people just teach this portion, like the front portion, but don't teach the impermanence part. So it's like teaching people, it's like giving a person a cup without contents inside. You serve people drink, give the cup, but no substance, no liquid, no nothing. So some places they teach the mindfulness, for example, mindfulness of activity. For example, mindfulness of tea drinking. Then they will tell you, okay, first mindful, slowly, slowly. I'm trying to illustrate. Okay, finally open. Okay, so they will tell you when you want to drink tea, must move slowly. Then, right, you slowly lift the cup, then smell, then you slowly drink. Ask you to enjoy the taste and slowly put back. Same with food, like ask you to enjoy the taste. No reflection of impermanence. It's just knowing. Um, so it's very different from what this sutta is teaching. In fact, some places they want to encourage like more crowd to join this. Then they ask you enjoy the taste, which is totally contradicting to the Buddha's teaching. Like we have food reflection, tell you when we eat at time, not for pleasure, not for enjoyment, but simply to give you energy to practice. So it's very different, right? So if you want to follow craving, very easy. The Buddhist practice go against craving. So very difficult, like swimming against the current. So the Buddha's practice is swimming against the current. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the next portion, second part of mindfulness, mindfulness of feelings. So I think we covered feelings also last time. Feelings got three types of feelings: painful, pleasant, and neither painful nor pleasant. So there are three types of feeling. So you can call it neutral feeling. So there are three types of feeling. So it can be bodily, physically, or mentally. So if you were to imagine some unpleasant incident, then there will be the mental unpleasant feeling. If let's say you sit too long until body pain, then it's your physical unpleasant feeling. Huh? So you need to differentiate between this. So the same thing, feelings in the right mindfulness context is to observe origination and passing away. Same chorus. Same chorus. So you get the idea. That means whatever you place your attention on, whatever meditation object, if you want to get the wisdom out of it, you need to reflect on impermanence. Eh? Okay, then I think we still have time. Then any questions so far? I covered half of this mindfulness already. So now we move on to the third one. So the third one, mindfulness of mind. Mindfulness of mind. So this one is the mind states actually. So there's a whole list of them. Okay, so the first one, or the first three, I would say maybe it's more on emotion, towards emotion, whether there's greed, got anger, no greed, no anger. So delusion would be like the combination of both. Lah. If you have both, then you have this. So normally, for example, in our meditation routine, let's say any meditation object we are doing, let's say we think of the hair. When we first think of the image, we have to presume the mind has both, has all these three. We must presume at least there's some greed, anger, delusion. Then we keep on wishing the hairs well and happy, correct? So we slowly reduce aversion. So when it reduce and when the state of mind change or the emotion change, then that's the mind without aversion. Okay, so this is for your observation. So basically, you're just adding more steps, or rather, more labels to the same steps. We are doing the same steps, same routine, but now introduce you to more labels. Yeah? Okay, and when we think of impermanence, so once the mind is calm, so that's like the mind without aversion. I normally call this like the settling of the mind or this neutral baseline state. And then we think of impermanence, right, to reduce this passion. So we think of impermanence, we are reducing greed. Yeah, so actually, when we reduce greed, we're also clearing this one, clearing delusion. So when both passion and delusion is reduced to a certain extent, then you trigger a certain thing. We call this the seven factors of awakening. Certain joy will appear and all those stuff. So this is the mind without delusion, mind without passion. So I won't say without, reduced, reduced passion, aversion, and delusion. So only a non-returner, only a non-returner, that means the third stage of enlightenment and the Arahant have no greed and anger, have no greed and anger. So everybody should have one. Greed, anger, everybody should have. Huh? Okay, then the next few has to do with our spatial awareness, where we place our attention or the area of our attention. So it can be restricted. It can be fixed in a small area. It can be scattered all over the place. All over the place. Huh? So regardless of what state your mind is, still can practice. Still can practice this impermanence. So some people think that meditation is just fixing on one spot and the breath. Then once they do work only, cannot meditate anymore, like how to meditate. When you're busy working, the mind scattered all over the place. You need to plan, need to worry. So this scattered mind, like, yeah. So in all situation, still can practice. Huh? Okay, then this one, like we practice loving kindness, enlarged mind, send to all directions, enlarged mind. So in practical application, when you cross the road, do you have a restricted awareness or enlarged awareness? Enlarged, right? You need to watch out for traffic and stuff like that. So mindfulness supposed to be practical, apply in your daily life. So in all situation can work one. Okay, then next one is surpass, not surpass. So traditionally saying is that if a person become a noble one, that means a person not yet realize the truth to realizing the truth. They say surpass. But in maybe more practical kind of checklist would be to keep note of your own high score. That means every time you practice, what's your most peaceful state? Then you kind of remember. So every time you practice, then did you surpass your state of peace or surpass your state of detachment? Yeah, so it's your own personal record. So whether you surpass your own state of mind. Then same thing, concentrated, not concentrated. So even when the mind is in concentration, can reflect on impermanence. When the mind is not in concentration, also can reflect on impermanence. So it is part of mindfulness. Then the same thing, whether it's liberated, not liberated, also can reflect on impermanence. So this again, the same chorus. Whatever state of mind, you need to observe this origination and passing away. Yeah. Okay, so I've covered three out of the four foundation of mindfulness. The next one will be a bit more technical. So I'll just stop here for Q&A. Any questions on the ground? Yes. Which one? The mind states. Okay. Yeah, this one. Doesn't move. Doesn't move. Previous one. Okay. Yep. Okay, yes. What's your question? Mm. Okay. So there are like different schools that specifically like specialize teaching on scattered mind or open awareness. That means let the mind be free, lah. Don't purposely fixate at one place. Just like relax, lah. Let the mind like run all over the place. So there is this technique. We call this open awareness technique. So it's not the same as loving kindness. Loving kindness is purposely enlarge the mind, so you send to all direction. So scattered or open awareness would be just relax lah. So let the mind go, yeah, wherever it lands. So wherever it lands, you rise and pass away. Then you land another place, rise and pass away. So that's another style of practice. Mm. Yeah, I think it's possible. No, sometimes people, I think it's good to take note of certain phenomenon, but do not be too attached. Because sometimes you may not reach it, then you feel so upset, or you know, they, If a person bottleneck in their practice, they should find their teacher or seek more advice. Yeah. No guru, that is, yeah, sometimes not easy to find. Then again, you have to wait for the right conditions. Wait for the right conditions. Either you explore sincerely or no, research from the scripture. Lah. If let's say you reach a bottleneck. Okay, any other questions? Yep.
Bante, we have a question on the ground. So, sister, can you please wait? Thanks.
Okay, yeah, what's your question? Okay. So the release one probably would be liberated mind. And the mind is enlightened. Yeah. Enlightened or not enlightened. Mm. So this is the final part. Yes. Surpass among surpass. So that's the last one. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the Zoom.
Ajahn, we have 19 participants online.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, sister, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Bante,
Okay.
yes, Bante, just now Bante mentioned about mindfulness, the circular mindfulness and what we learn, what the Buddha taught. Bante mentioned something like if the food is, like say for example, the food is, we enjoy the food. Are we not, can we not enjoy the food yet not attached to it?
Yeah, so we take note of pleasant feelings. Yeah, mindful of these
Okay.
pleasant feelings. So we know it's there, but if you want to really like seriously practice, to overcome craving, then you need to mentally kind of remind yourself, all these pleasant feelings are impermanent, rising, passing. Every
Mm.
time you chew only, the feelings change. Yeah.
Okay. But it's not necessary that we have indifferent or how to say neutral feeling all the time.
Okay, so in Dharma practice, very interesting. Internally, we should practice detachment. Externally, we should have certain mundane mindfulness of the type of taste. Because sometimes you serve food to different people, you cannot have no certain strong taste or too mild or too strong. So you need to have this kind of circular, or we call it mundane kind of precision or certain quantity kind of awareness. And of course, but internally, regardless of what kind of taste, we should reflect on impermanence. So there are two aspects.
Mm. Thank you, Bante.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions? No, no more questions. All okay. Then we go for a 5-minute break and we come back for the guided meditation. Meditation. Who didn't attend last week's lesson? Okay, so no worries. Try to follow the instruction. So it's very similar to this one. So there's more emphasis on samatha first for the breath part. Then later on, then we talk about the rising and passing. Okay, so we start off with finding a comfortable seated position. Make sure your back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, so we are going to find the area where you want to feel your in and out breathing. So got a few options. It can be a small area, for example, below the nostril, above the upper lip. So that's one area where you can feel the in and out breathing. Or let's say for whatever reason you're wearing mask or your nose blocked, you can feel other place lah. You can feel your abdomen region. So we call this restricted area. So that's one option. Second option, you can use a slightly enlarged area, maybe the whole body. So if you're using the whole body, try not to jump around here and there, different parts of the body. So you just take the entire body as it is. So that's the second option. Probably require more skill. And if you're more skilled, then we use the open area, scattered mind kind of concept. So normally for beginners, we talk about using a small area, restricted kind of mind. And once you determine where you want to feel your in and out breathing, then we stay in that location throughout the whole session. So whatever disturbance, whatever pain or whatnot, then you try not to let the mind jump around too much. Okay, and then once you watch the in and out breathing, let your breath be your natural reflex action. Don't have to purposely control. Let your inhale, exhale naturally by itself. And you might be thinking, no different from ordinary breathing, right? So that's where we add the right thought. Okay, so currently this state of mind, we call this the mind with greed, hatred, delusion. So we're going to infuse some right thoughts to the breath. Every time we inhale, we wish the breath well. Whenever we exhale, we wish the breath happy. So keep repeating like a mantra. Inhale well, exhale happy. So there are various phases of calming down. So the initial stage would be calming down bodily fabrication. So the more you wish the in and out breath well and happy, then you should be less distracted by bodily sensations. Don't worry, the nervous system still working. Just that you kind of so focus until you like almost ignore it. And then the second phase of calming would be calming mental fabrications. So basically, our straight thoughts will be there all the time. Mental formations are there all the time. Just that when we're so focused on the in and out breathing, wish the in and out breath well and happy until we can ignore those stray thoughts, just like passengers on a bus or a train. When they're talking, we don't have to care what they're talking about. But they're still talking. So thoughts are there, just that you stay in the right thoughts. Inhale well, exhale happy. And as you get calmer and calmer, then you should be sensitive to mind. So there's mindfulness of mind already. So feeling the in and out breath is part of mindfulness of the body. And the mindfulness of mind would be this craving mind, the mind with greed or mind with anger. And it will manifest in a form of like a tension kind of energy. So the more you keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy, this craving and aversion should reduce. And through the process of sedimentation, this mind will kind of settle down somewhere. So we're not pushing the energy down. We're not doing qigong. The energy is an indicator, just a byproduct. Emphasis on wishing the in-out breath well and happy. So make sure in the mind can hear yourself reciting well and happy. You cannot hear yourself means drift off somewhere. Inhale well, exhale happy, and the repetition is called right effort. Okay, if the mind is quite settled down, then we familiarize ourselves with this state of mind. So we call it steadying the mind. you find that it cannot settle any further or the rate of settling is negligible, then this will be your stability point. So you keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy. And we make sure we fulfill two criteria. First criteria, the mind is calm and settled down. Second criteria, we take note of this state of mind, the emotion. So currently we call this your neutral baseline state, no concentration yet. And what we are going to do is we make a wish to release the mind, just like releasing a balloon or releasing a spring. And once we release, we observe any change in the emotion. We don't have to push or do anything. Let the mind evolve naturally by itself. So if let's say the neutral emotion has transformed to something more pleasant, then that's the indicator for the first level of concentration. So we multitask and we take note of the emotion and keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy for the mind to settle down. And you find the mind quite settled down. Even concentrated states also have some aversion. So once we reduce this aversion, quite settled down, then we familiarize with this state, emphasize on wishing the in and out breath well and happy, like a mantra. And at the sidelines, then we take note of the emotion. The mind is settled down and calm. Second criteria, we take note of the emotion and the state of mind in concentration. And what is this concentrated mind? So in theory, the first level of concentration has 4 factors. First one, initial thinking. Second one, sustained thinking. Third, joy. Fourth, happiness. So for those like first time doing it, it will all come as a rojak. You cannot differentiate them, never mind. You just know there's some pleasant emotion. And once you've taken note of these 2 criteria, whenever you are ready, then we can make a wish to release the mind, just like releasing a spring or releasing a balloon. And once we let go of the mind, we just observe any change in the emotion. And if you're more sensitive, any energy that accompany the emotion. Okay, and if the joy and happiness become more distinct than previously, then that's the indicator for the second level, due to the disappearance of this initial and sustained thought cluttering process. So now we multitask, we take note of this pleasant emotion and keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy for the mind to settle down. And if the mind is quite settled down, then we familiarize ourselves with the second level, emphasize on wishing the in and out breath well and happy. So this foundation of the body, the breath has to be there. And at the sidelines, we take note of the mindfulness of mind, the emotion. And we make sure we fulfill two criteria. First criteria, the mind has to be calm and settled down. Second criteria, we take note of the emotion on the second level. So in theory, the second level has two factors, joy and happiness. And the same thing, both of them are rojak together. If you cannot differentiate them, doesn't matter. So as long as it is clearer than the first level, that means that's the second level. And once the mind is, you have the two criteria, whenever you're ready, then you can make a wish to let go of the mind, just like letting go of a balloon. And once you release the mind, you just observe any change in the emotion, or if you're more sensitive, any energy that accompany this emotion. And if you experience a different kind of pleasant emotion, then that would be the happiness of the third level of concentration. So no more joy, huh? So it's just happiness. So we multitask, take note of happiness, and keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy for the mind to settle down. And once the mind is quite settled down, then we familiarize ourselves with the third level. Emphasis is always mindfulness of the in and out breathing, wishing it well and happy. And at the sidelines, then we take note of mindfulness of the mind state. What is this emotion of the third level? And make sure we fulfill two criteria. First criteria, the mind is calmed down. Second criteria, we take a note of the emotion or state of mind of the third level. So in theory, there's only happiness, no more joy. Huh? So to differentiate between joy and happiness, you need to transit between the second and third levels. And the third level, there's some equanimity. Okay, and once you've fulfilled the two criteria, whenever you're ready, then you can make a wish to release the mind, just like releasing a balloon. And once you have released the mind, you just observe any change in the emotion. And if you are more sensitive, then you can observe any energy that accompany this emotion. Something like more refreshing, more alert, and it's a neutral emotion, no joy, no happiness, then there would be equanimity, and the factor for the fourth level of concentration. And the same thing with multitask, we take note of this equanimity, keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy for the mind to settle down. And if the mind is quite settled down, then we can familiarize ourselves in the fourth level. Emphasis on the impermanence of the emphasis on wishing the in and out breath well and happy. And at the sidelines, we take note of the equanimity. Okay, so we make sure we fulfill the two criteria again. The mind is calmed down, and the second criteria, we take note of the factor of equanimity of the fourth level of concentration. And the function of this equanimity is used to strengthen mindfulness. It's like recharging the battery, temporary recharge, not forever. And once you have these two criteria, we're going to go stun. That means we take the lift down, make a wish, go back down to the third level. So you can make a wish. May I go back down to the third level? So as the mind descends back down, then you observe again any change in the emotion. And if you successfully reach the third floor, then there should be the indicator of this happiness resurfacing. Then the same thing, multitask. Observe this happiness, keep on wishing the in and out breath, well and happy for the mind to settle down. Okay, if the mind is quite settled down, and you take a note of this happiness, then you can again make a wish to go back down to the second level. And as the mind descends, you just observe any change in the emotion. And if the pleasant emotion become different, and that's the reintroduction of joy. So there's now a mixture of both joy and happiness. So that's indicator for the second level. And the same thing we multitask, with the in and out breath, well and happy, for the mind to settle down. And once the mind is rather calm, settled down, and if take a note of this emotion, joy and happiness of the second level, then we can make a wish to go back to level 1. And as the mind descends down to the first level, you just observe any change in the emotion. Okay, you find that the joy and happiness become diluted, or you find the mind more cluttered or clouded, then that's the reintroduction of this initial and sustained thought processes. So that's the indicator for the first level. So the same thing, we take note of the entire emotion as a package and keep on wishing the in and out breath well and happy, for the mind to settle down. And once the mind is quite settled down, and we take a note of the emotion on the first level, then we make a wish to come back to the baseline state, back to level 0 or ground level. And as the mind descends, we just observe any change in the emotion. And once you are back at the baseline state, make sure it's a blend emotion, no more joy, no more happiness. And then now we switch the contemplation to impermanence, so rising and passing. So still focusing on the in and out breath, we change the mantra to rising and passing. So if you reduce craving, reduce passion or greed, reduce delusion, what's the emotion, what's the state of mind? Okay, then you can spread the awareness throughout the whole body. Feel your fingers and toes, yeah? So even within an enlarged area, we also can think of impermanence. And before we conclude the session, same gentle reminder in all activities, whether we're standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, wherever we place our attention, we can be mindful of impermanence. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, informally generate right thought.